Hello, and welcome to another video about the work of the incredible Moebius. Today we are going to take a deeper look at his last book, published just 2 years before his passing in 2012, Arzach the Surveyor. I was surprised to see no reviews on this book except for one in French, despite the fact that it has been out for over a decade. So it felt like the perfect candidate for our next video. Here I have today a magnificent Italian oversized edition, probably one of the largest books in my collection, and it is massive and absolutely gorgeous. Oddly, and despite the massive size of the English-speaking market, to this day, and now we are in December 2023, this book has not been published in English. So if you want a copy, you will have to settle for a bunch of other European languages. Currently you can find it in French, of course, the big ones, Spanish, Italian, German, Dutch, Danish, Swedish, and even Finnish, which is a minuscule market, but anyways, English, no, and do not ask me why. At the moment, Dark Horse Comics is still translating and publishing books under their Moebius Library series, so who knows, there might be a translation in the works, or it could be on their radar, who knows. But back to this book. So I guess we need to talk a bit about the character first, because for being a silent comic, Arzach has been talked about a lot since its first appearance in 1975 in the groundbreaking magazine Metal Hurlant, forever changing the perceptions of how comics could be made. The name was born from the merging of the two words applied arts, in French arts appliquées, which in art school Moebius and his classmates used to shorten to Arza, which eventually became Arzach, the name we all know today. And this character and his stories were an improvisation exercise, a collage, drawn one page at a time, letting the story form naturally without any premeditation or intention. The only clear thing was its promise to its readers, one meant to take them from an experimental ride, into the unknown. And this is how the first Arzach stories were created, short and disconnected episodes where the silent warrior rides his pterodactyl, or more correctly, his pterodelph, over a dreamlike world, caught between fantasy and science fiction, between the past and the future. A world so unstable that even the spelling itself of Arzach, of the name Arzach, changes constantly, as if it is not as important as the sound it makes when pronounced, in almost what it seems a further attempt to remove from the reader any possible point of reference. And after the first stories from the 70s, Arzach became one of the most iconic and enigmatic of Moebius characters. Who is he? Why doesn't he speak? What is the creature he rides on? Where does he come from? And despite knowing so little about him, Arzach has become a signature for Moebius. But as he once stated, that signature came at a price. And he had to make sure the character kept evolving through variations and subtle modifications. He has become evil at times, disturbing, extraterrestrial, reptilian. At other times he was angelic, inheriting the aesthetics of classical Greek statues. He even became androgyne and a woman. And for this reason, Arzach has followed Moebius throughout his career in hundreds of illustrations, and can be found in 40 Days in Desert B, in the Inside Moebius series, as the Starwatcher, even in the animated series from 2004 called Arzach Rhapsody, and finally culminating here, crystallized almost into shape after decades of incubation, now provided with a voice, a purpose, a world, a backstory. And as Moebius once said, Arzach was like a ball of energy that followed me throughout the years. And eventually, that ball of energy became mature enough to be opened, unpacked. Arzach wanted to live. But fun fact here, the story in this book was not even meant to be a comic in the first place. In 2008, the Japanese company Kurosawa invited Moebius to direct an animated film, where he started giving shape to the sequel of Arzach's adventures. But unfortunately, the project fell through due to the economic crisis of the same year. But 2 years later, no other than Ridley Scott approached Moebius to collaborate on a live-action film. And the reviewed story started taking shape as he adapted it for the big screen. The revised script eventually made its way back to Ridley Scott, but the long validation process of the movie industry began to frustrate Moebius so much that he decided to take matters into his own hands and make it into a comic book, the only medium in which he felt he had complete creative control. And the result is here, right in front of us. A long introduction, I know, but what is the point of making a video about this great artist if I am not going to give you actual insights into his work and art? This is the fun stuff, guys. So here we have it, Arzach the Surveyor, the first volume in the unfinished Tassili trilogy. Set on the planet Tassili, the world of 1,000 deserts, Arzach is still a lone warrior, but also an inspector for an elusive organization on behalf of which he is searching for a mysterious anomaly threatening the balance and peace of the planet's inhabitants. As the story progresses, we don't just learn about him, but also about his mount, a mixture of integrated anti-gravity technology and regenerative biological functions telepathically linked to the brain of its rider. And as we move forward, the plot thickens and Arzach paths crosses with both the Werg, the original inhabitants of Tassili, who are planning an uprising to retake the planet, and from the humans and their settlements, which now dominate the land and persecute the Werg. From an art standpoint, this book really shows a master at the peak of his technique. The lines are so confident and clean, but it is really the colors which are in the spotlight here. Moebius said it himself, that when creating the Surveyor, his focus and energy went mostly into the digital coloring part. While the old Arzach was ink heavy, here it is the computer who is the main actor. And we can definitely see that as we read and notice how different sections of the book are clearly grouped by specific chromatic choices, where a single hue dominates the page and plains become green oceans and the night scenes are covered in blue and the interior shots are red and warm. The story is of course unfinished, as Moebius passed away in 2012, losing his battle with cancer, leaving us to the task of imagining how this story could end. But at the same time, I like to think that some of the best stories, the most exciting ones, we like them to never end. And somehow it is very Moebius to leave us hanging, giving us the gift of creating our own ending. So yeah, there you have it, Arzach the Surveyor. A really beautiful book. It's been a pleasure as always, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.